Hello, everybody. Welcome to Galaxy Brains, where that's not the new year. It's the new you. Pledging to yourself, you will no longer be degenerate enough to say things out loud like, quote, I'm going to get a little Jarrett Stidham exposure in DFS. And we know Denny is not one of the people making that pledge. He will do absolutely sickening things in week 17 and 18 DFS.
That's true.
Just like the Denver Broncos, Denny, who are, they're trying to be the new you, but they're kind of going back to the old you models that have failed over and over again in the NFL, which includes apparently both the new head coach and the GM reporting directly to him and not to each other. Tell us why do you think this might work?
Well, the Broncos CEO, George Penner, had a very awkward press conference.
He seemed very press seasoned.
Right. In the shadow of their 51-13 or whatever was drubbing on Christmas Day to the Baker Mayfield-led Rams. And he said that the next head coach, whoever that lucky person is, and honestly, if the Broncos can find someone to be their head coach in 2023, will report directly, not to the general manager, whoever that is, but to the owner, George Penner. And when we know that, like you said, this has a long history, really, of working out where you want to cut the relationship between the GM, the team builder, and the team's head coach as much as possible. You want those two separated and operating on completely different planes, and you want the owner in there meddling at every opportunity. This has proven disastrous, actually.
So it hasn't traditionally worked. People do forget Bill Parcells was the executive VP of football operations from the 2008 to 2010 Dolphins, where all 250 Miami Dolphins employees reported directly to him. And they, of course, famously won 3 straight Super Bowls. But that has been the exception. And yeah, I mean, when you have an egomaniac quarterback who everyone else on the team seems to loathe, Denny, you want the power structure, to be as labyrinth and as opaque as possible. Like, do I take this problem to my position coach? It says here in my packet, I take it to the owner for some reason. Like, it says, when Russell Wilson tries to force me to film a TikTok about coconut water, I'm supposed to talk to the CEO of the team.
That's right.
Would maybe just prefer to talk to the coach. But
when Russell Wilson has a question about running back routes out of the backfield, he's going straight to the owner. He can't even talk to the coach. Can't even bring it up. He has to go to the owner's office, say, is this guy supposed to come out before doing a chip block or no? Are we doing that? And then the owner will give his advice. This can work, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, when Russell Wilson is doing so many wind sprints in the aisle of your international flight to Germany that it threatens to down the plane over the North Atlantic because of the fury with which he is running, don't take it to the person in the seat next to you. You go wake up the owner in the front of the plane. Yeah, and he's like, who are you?
Right. You have to respect the Broncos for ensuring that they will be among the league's worst teams for the foreseeable future, not just this year.
Yeah, Denny, they're working on it in the front office. They're trying to work on it on the field, where interim head coach Jerry Rosburg, most famous for apparently knowing how watches and stopwatches work, which is why he was hired by the Denver Broncos to tell Nathaniel Hackett, he pulls up the Wikipedia entry on timeouts and says American football. You can call it timeout to stop the clock. That's cool.
Interesting.
This guy, Jerry Rosburg, he doesn't want to announce whether Clint Kubiak, who's apparently on his 9th tour of duty with the Broncos, or someone else will be calling plays against the Chiefs. He says the play caller will be upstairs. Do you think this is creating a competitive advantage this weekend for the Denver Broncos?
It absolutely is. It's actually a beautiful Galaxy Brain move, because now Andy Reid and the Chiefs have no idea how to defend the Broncos. Are the plays coming from above, from Kubiak, who apparently works for the team still, or from the clock guy, who, as of last week, was looking at the clock and going, yep, that's the 2-minute warning. And then calling down to Nathaniel Hackett and saying, Nathaniel, it's the 2-minute warning, just so you know. If that guy's calling the plays, it'll be completely different than if Kubiak is calling the plays. So, yeah, it is a huge advantage for Denver.
Yeah, local Kansas City television cameras, they're out at Chiefs practice doing a soft focus piece on Thursday. The Chiefs are 12-3. Cruising into the playoffs. So they caught something rather dramatic where they caught Andy Reid punching a hole in a top hat when he said they could not tell him which Denver Broncos assistant coach would be dialing up 23 straight Latavius Murray runs into the back of the left guard for 2.6 yards per pop.
And if you don't know when Latavius is going to get the ball, then you have no chance of stopping it. And we know this from experience.
And by the way, Jerry Rosburg's really kicking up a notch where it's December 29th. Some may say, their season is over. They're 4-11. The players just punching the clock when to get out of there. He's also dialing up a practice in pads.
Yeah.
Sure to endear him to the players between Christmas and New Year's for this 4-11 team. And I think honestly, the competitive advantage is so great between these two moves combined.
Yeah.
The may actually unmathematically eliminate themselves from the playoffs. They're finally doing the things that matter at 4-11.
Right.
They're not announcing their play caller. They're practicing in pads. They're starting Russell Wilson. I do think, I actually think they should give Jerry Rossberg a shot to be the full-time head coach.
Right. And when you have a team where every player hates every other player and fights with them on the sidelines every single week, what you want is full padded practices in a lost season. In that atmosphere, I actually can't see anything that could go wrong. And so Rossberg knows this, the management knows this, and I think it will pay off. The Chiefs are in trouble. I think that's what we're saying. The Chiefs are in trouble this week. By the way, you know who is not in trouble?
Who did he?
The New York Giants. They are playing the Indianapolis Colts this week, and Nick Foles is for some reason going to start.
Is he still on the team?
He still is. And Jeff Saturday made a firm commitment when
ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday, right? Why is he talking about the Colts?
He is technically a coach and a make-believe coach, but a coach nonetheless. And when asked after they got destroyed by the Chargers on Monday night, are you sticking with Nick Foles? Jeff Saturday said, of course. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? And really, I want to credit, here at Galaxy Brains, we like to recognize other Galaxy Brains. And I want to credit Jeff Saturday's Galaxy Brain for constantly, and I guess this goes for Jim Irsay too, constantly benching Matt Ryan for worse quarterbacks, as if magically it was going to catch. Something was going to happen with Sam Ehlinger. Something was going to happen with Nick Foles where they would suddenly be way better than Matt Ryan, when Matt Ryan is by far and away their best quarterback option, yet he's constantly being benched, and I just can't figure it out.
Well, Denny, so we kind of stopped paying attention to the Colts after Monday night, after one of the worst performances by any team all season. To the 53-man roster this week, they've signed as follows: Ryan Mallett, Kyle Bowler, Jake Locker, and Kendall Hinton.
Yeah.
The famous COVID quarterback for the Denver Broncos. I think all four of them might get a chance to start actually over Matt Ryan in the final two games of the season. But I actually do think Jeff Saturday is going to stick with his plan. The show's called Galaxy Brains. I think the Galaxy Brain is – so Nick Foles appeared so fragile on Monday Night Football against the Los Angeles Chargers that it kind of looked like he was like a porcelain vase, like a Fabergé egg.
He fell so easily.
And I think that he's almost trying to get the opposing teams to like feel sorry. Like they get up to him and they think he's going to crumble doing a ball. And he's like, oh, hold on a second. And he throws a 40-yard touchdown then to Michael Pittman.
Right.
I think maybe they're trying to rope-a-dope them and get teams to actually feel sorry for sacking or intercepting Nick Foles. And I think it could work in week 17 against the Giants.
Well, it could work. The Giants are, hungry for a playoff spot and really should need to win the last two games to make sure they get into the postseason. So, perhaps you're right. Maybe you're wrong. But perhaps this is an act of humiliating Matt Ryan for not living up to the preseason hype. Maybe this is just an exercise in saying, we don't like you, and we're going to embarrass you by starting Nick Foles for a second straight week.
Yeah, I believe the great American philosopher Bane once said to the Batman that your punishment must be more severe. And it feels that is what the Colts have decided. I have no idea why I remember this movie quote. I don't even like superhero movies. That they've decided Matt Ryan's punishment must be more severe. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Colts approach has been working so well that now the Raiders are trying it. They've benched Derek Carr for Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you think this will work? I think maybe it will work for us. .gif.
Right. It could work out in this way. If the goal, and it might have been, if the goal is to end Derek Carr's time as starter for the Raiders, and Derek Carr, of course, dedicated his life to the silver and black. I mean, just a Raiders diehard through and through. So you end his career as a Raider by basically kicking him off the team. He's not going to even be with the team these last 2 weeks.
And truly humiliating him.
Because he would be, quote, a distraction. Okay. So if the goal was to alienate both your fledgling fan base and your best player in Davante Adams, Derek Carr's best friend, then mission accomplished. You did it. You did it. Congratulations to the Raiders, to Mark Davis. You have made Davante Adams mad. You have made your remaining 47 fans mad. It's a win-win.
Where will Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams be playing together in 2023 is probably what we need to tackle.
This is the question.
The next guy. Also, I just realized, is Bane even American? I think he's like a Scotsman or something who arrived in Gotham City as an enterprising young immigrant who then started a vast criminal empire and imprisoned the Batman in a cave or something. I'm trying to remember the details of this movie.
I don't think he was born in the US of A.
I don't think so. And I don't think this show is still going. It's over. So for Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. It's the last time you'll expand your minds with us in 2022, but we hope you'll join us in 2023. So for Denny, I'm Pat. We'll be back later.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.